Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist. I own 52 units of real estate and I help coach people to buy their first multifamily deal. So this is kind of part three of my 10 questions related to financial freedom. So part one, I answered, and part two, I answered, I think the first five questions. And now I'm going to start on question number six. So is it possible to become financially free without a high income? So I think a knock I get on my channel is that I make a higher income being a pharmacy leader position. Make $200,000 plus, and most of my career, I probably started off 120K, and then I scaled up to 200K plus over time. And for me, I think what people get caught on is the income I make, but I think what people need to focus on is the kind of the trades or things I've done, right? So for me, I've always sustained a very high savings rate relative to my income. So even when I was taking home like 5,000 bucks a month, I would always save at least 50 to 60% of my money so that I can allocate that towards an emergency reserve, so that I can allocate that towards a investment, so I can allocate that towards paying off my student debt. So that's always something that I always did. So it is possible to become financially free with high income, without a high income. So this is what I would do, and I'll just kind of share a lot of like my early journey. So like when I first got started as a pharmacist, I came out making about $120,000, which I think is a very like reasonable income, like even for today. Um, and I had $250,000 of student debt. So my monthly debt payment was like 2,000 bucks a month. So I would take home 5,000, 2,000 goes to my student debt. I have $3,000 left over to basically live my life. So what I did was I had to rent a room for my job, and I got a room for like 500 bucks a month. There was like three people living in that house. And yeah, it sucks to just have a room, but I had the college mentality. I was used to living with roommates in my early 20s. So to me, I was only there on the weekdays, and on the weekends, I would just drive home uh, to Milpitas, which is where I, would just spend time with my friend's family. So I just wanted a place to rest, a place to shower, a place to like cook when I was there for work in King City. And then I would go home to Milpitas on the weekends because I worked Monday through Friday. Um, so so now about 50% of my expenses went to my student loans and my living expense, and then another, let's say, 500 bucks to live my life. So right there, what am I at? That's about 2,000, about 3,000 bucks. I had $2,000 left over that I could like save and invest. So for me, the beginning was I was allocating that $2,000 to really building that emergency reserve of I wanted like about $10,000 in the bank for me. So I knew it would take me about 5 months to get there. So basically, in 5 months, I saved my emergency reserve. And then from there, once I hit my emergency reserve, I just was aggressively investing my money. And in that time, I was just paying off my student debt. So, there is a way to do it, but you just have to be really like if you're renting, be okay with like just renting a room, right? Or like what I did after renting a room was I just lived at home for free. Like I lived in my mom's house in the first floor, and I just lived there for free because like I didn't care, I didn't mind. It was nice living at home because you don't have to cook, you don't have to clean, and you get free food. And luckily I have a good relationship with my mom, so it really worked out, and it really allowed me to save more money to pay off my student debt. So in Asian American households, it's very common to be like, hey, just live at home for free and save that money to pay off your student loans, save that money to save for your down payment on your house. And that really helped me give a financial foundation. So I started off house hacking in multiple, I've house hacked multiple ways. I house hacked by just renting a room. I house hacked by living at home for free. So that's called parent hacking. And then I literally bought my first house and I house hacked the property where I flipped the script where I lived in the master, I rented out 3 other bedrooms. So just those three concepts of house hacking helped me save a lot of money to buy my first deal. And then once I got my first deal, I house hacked that deal, and then allowed me to buy my second deal. And then once I got my second deal, I got my third deal. And once I had my 3 deals, I did a cash out refinance on all three of my properties to go buy my first apartment complex. So you see how like one little action compounds over time. It compounded over time. And it was just little decisions I made back when I wasn't making that much and I had student loans because I was stuck with student loans from 2013 to 2017. took me 4 years to pay off my student loans. And I was basically house hacking the whole time. I was renting a room for $500 a month. And then when I got a job closer to home, I was living at home for free. And that's how I did it. And I paid off my student loans. I saved up for a down payment on a house, which I bought 10% down. And I house hacked that property. So I house hacked in 3 different iterations: rent a room, I lived at home, and then I house hacked myself, where I bought a house and I would rent out the room and collect the money. So that's really the foundation to that and that's tied in with frugality. Like, are you okay with just living with other people for like, I did it until I was like 30. So from like literally 23 until 30, I house hacked. And then finally, when I moved to SoCal, I wanted my privacy. I didn't want to house hack anymore. That's when I got my first apartment, where I was renting for like $2,300 a month. And I was renting $2,300 a month for about 4 years until I moved into my current house, where now my mortgage, our total all in cost, $7,500 a month, believe it or not, split between me and my wife. So, I made sacrifice, right? That's really what it is. I lived frugally. I didn't have credit card debt. I would always look for sales. I would always, credit card churn so I get points to travel. I would buy things on sale. I'd go on slick deals. I would find coupons. I would, and it's not hard too. Like I have Rakuten now, and it just tells you if there's coupon codes. I'd be very strategic in how I buy things. Like, if you buy things at Costco, if you monitor the price and it drops in like 90 days, you can get the difference, right? Like if you bought like a TV in Costco and in 90 days, it dropped $100, you can show the receipt and they'll give you $100. So there's a lot of things you can do to like save money. And be cognizant in how you spend, right? Like for me, my initial traveling, so the biggest expense for traveling was like the hotel, but I had Chase Sapphire Reserve when it first came out, and I used the credit card points to cover my flight. And then I would like get it like an Airbnb of like 3 of my guy friends, and then we could split the cost, so it's like significantly cheaper, because I knew hotel was like the biggest expense, and flight. Food isn't that bad, activities aren't that bad once you're like overseas in Asia. So that's another way to like save money. Is you have to like maybe get an Airbnb with your friends, your homies, or you can like. I remember we got like a 2-bedroom condo in like Malaysia for like $50 a night, and we had 3 people. And that ends up being like $15 each per night per person for like this like really nice luxury condo. That's 2 bedroom, 2 bath. So there's ways to like really become financially free about high income, but you have to house hack, definitely, and you have to like be frugal and very intentional how you spend your money. If you can do that, you can become financially free without a high income. Like I probably could have still attained financial freedom doing that and been okay with that. And like keep in mind, I live in California too, so that's a higher cost of living area. Um, but even despite that, there's still ways to do it. Like you said, just live with your parents as long as possible. You can just rent a room. Like even my parents to this day still rent a room out, like in my childhood home, for like $1,000 a month. And that guy's a great deal on the room. He just gets his own room, and single guy, lives a pretty humble life. So it's not too bad, right? It's not too bad. So moving on to question number 7, what mistakes did you make on your path to financial freedom, and what would you do differently? So path, obviously the mistake that I made is all recent. My mistakes I made were in 2021, 22, I would say, probably those years. And if I were to sum it up, it's shiny object syndrome. I started getting distracted. I started getting greedy. I started trying to spread myself too thin. So what happened in 2021? In 2021, just to summarize, I have probably 5 single family homes at the time. I just joined my multifamily mentorship program, and I just executed a huge cash out refinance on all my single family homes and pulled out $1 million in equity, tax free. So I was ready to strike. So what I did was in 2021, I'll tell you exactly what I did. Okay. So I joined the mentorship program early 2021. I got laid off. Yeah, I got laid off. So I joined a mentorship in January 2021. I got laid off from my job in February of 2022 or 2021. I closed on my first Huntsville, Alabama property in March of 2021. In March, April, May, I sent out direct mail. In June, I got my first 26 unit apartment complex under contract. I closed on that in August, and then of 2021. And then in November of 2021, I bought my mobile home park. And then in May of 2022, I bought my 20 unit apartment complex. So as you can see here, I was very active. I think I bought 80 units in 8 months. And my 26 unit, my mobile home park, my 20 were all value add, meaning I had to renovate all these units. So I had to renovate my 26 unit. I had to renovate like all the units in my 26 unit. I renovated my mobile home park. I had to renovate my 20 units. So I was literally like renovating like almost like 90 units at one point, right? Uh, spread over like a decent amount of time. So where this gets kind of crazy is that um, I did all that, and that's while working full time. And then on top of that, I thought I was a freaking genius. So I spent $30,000 to buy Lunar Ecom, which was Ryan Panetta's e-commerce store. Which, uh, when the moment I bought that, that was like the fastest way I lost $30,000. And basically, what I found kind of like, I remember they were advertising, like Ryan Panetta was advertising, like you should like get a credit card or line of credit debt to put $30,000 to get this Amazon dropshipping store, because he said that, oh well, we're gonna make you like $5,000 a month, and we're gonna split it, so it's you're gonna make back your money fast. And lucky for me, I didn't do that route. I just had $30,000 for my cash out refinance, and I threw it out there. And I remember I had a Walmart dropshipping store, and like within a week it got closed down. So he gave me an Amazon dropshipping store, and when the Amazon dropshipping store opened up, they were selling product, but I was like losing money. Like they would sell things at a loss. So I was like passively losing like, I think like $500 a month or something like that. And then the Amazon store got shut down. And they tried doing a Facebook store using my personal Facebook account. And then they got my Facebook account locked up. And I'm not sure if we made money. And then after that, I just said, forget this. And I ended up closing the store. So I ended up losing like $37,000 on that thing, which was a nice tax write off for me. But I just thought like, oh my God, I'm gonna make $5,000 a month passively from this. Easy money, right? The only thing easy about it was how easy I lost that money, right? So I thought it was super cool. Another thing I thought too was like, hey, like I'm gonna invest $30,000 into a pharmacy with 4 other business partners, because I'm a pharmacist. It makes sense, right? And obviously myself and my business partners didn't know anything about managing the pharmacy. I lost my $30,000 seed money, and I quickly just left that partnership like within 3 months, because I knew that it was not sustainable. And I literally had to work my full-time job, go while renovating real estate units and managing my property manager. And then I would go to a pharmacy after work to like do deliveries and fill prescriptions. And I was just like, this is not sustainable. And I left that, and, boom, lost my $30,000 seed money. And once again, just became a tax write-off for me. Another thing that I did was my mobile home park. So my mobile home park, I thought I was cool. I was like, you know what? I bought an apartment complex. Check that off my list. What's next? Let me buy a mobile home park. I'm cool, right? Bought that mobile home park, was sold the dream of cash cow, affordable housing, lots of land, high cash flow, great cost segregation. And these are all the buzzwords syndicators who do mobile home parks will tell you, right? So I drank that Kool-Aid. So I bought a mobile home park, right? And, for me, what it came down to was, I bought it in a bad area. So that was a mistake. And I had a bad property management. And I couldn't fire this property management because there's not many property managers for mobile home parks. It's not like I can fire Joe and hire Bill the next day, because there's only Joe, right? There's only Joe. So, versus with apartments, I can hire Joe. If Joe doesn't do well, I hire Bill. If Bill doesn't do well, I hire Will. If Will doesn't do well, I hire Brian, right? Like you can go down your list. Well, with mobile home parks, I couldn't. And what's stupid to me too is I deviated with different asset classes, right? Like I should have just bought another apartment complex. And I had opportunities to buy another apartment complex nearby my 26 unit, but my smart ass was like, no, I'm better than that. I'm going to go buy a mobile home park, which I ended up selling for a loss. I ended up losing. I held it for 2 years, lost $100,000. Was the most stressful 2 years of my life. I hated my life. I'm never going to buy a mobile home park again or invest in mobile parks ever again, right? Because I'm just so traumatized. So, and I realized that just buy apartment complexes and buy in Oklahoma and go buy apartment or single family homes in Huntsville, Alabama. So at that time I had a single family homes in California, and I had a single family home in Huntsville, Alabama, and I had an apartment in Oklahoma City. And my bright ass thought it would be smart to buy a mobile home park in Selma, Alabama. I should have just taken that money and buy another apartment complex in Oklahoma City, because you have economies of scale. Same property manager, the area, the rents, you use the same team. Versus I had another team. So I had to manage 2 property managers. I had to talk to my mobile home park property manager every day. I had to talk to my Oklahoma city property manager every single day. So it would have been easier if I just talked to one property manager in Oklahoma and they managed 2 apartment complexes for me, same asset class. So every time I lost money, it was because of shiny object syndrome. Was I good at drop shipping? No. Could I have made money from drop shipping? Maybe. Was it worth it? No. I lost money. I did a pharmacy. Like, I don't know anything about running a pharmacy, even though I work as a pharmacist in a hospital. I don't know anything about running a pharmacy. Lost money. Mobile home park. I deviated from the asset class of single family home in California, a single family home in Huntsville, Alabama, and apartments in Oklahoma, and I deviated. I lost money. Like, I should have just taken that money, go buy more new construction in Huntsville, Alabama. I could have, like, I allocated $500,000. Let me give you scenarios. I allocated $500,000 to my mobile home park. I probably could have bought during that time more new construction in Huntsville, Alabama. And I think I put like $80,000 down per deal after closing costs. I could have easily bought 5 more single family homes with like 25% down, 3.5% interest rates. And I would have bought these homes for like maybe 280-ish. And they would be cash flowing about probably $500 each, times that by 5. So that's $2,500 a month in extra cash flow that I could have got. Or I remember I had an opportunity to buy a 20-unit apartment complex 4 miles away from my 26-unit apartment complex at $33K per door. And at the time, I thought that was too high in price. But if I were to go back in time, I would slap myself to buy that deal. But let me do that math real quick. So $33K per door times 20 units. So that's $660K. Right. And I knew I could have fixed that one up for about 10 to 14K per door. And it would have been worth a lot more. So like, I wish I bought that deal instead of my mobile home park. I'd be in a lot better financial position. If I bought that one, I would be at 72 units of real estate right now. And probably my cash flow would be, I don't even know, like maybe 15 to 17,000 bucks a month if I bought that deal, right? I would have bought that for 660, and I'm pretty sure. So I would have bought it for 660, and let's say I would have put like $200,000 to fix it up, all 20 units. I'd be all in for 800, or 860. Like, I think this could be easily be worth like maybe 1.4, $1.5 million. So I would have made another $500,000 equity on top of that and be cash flowing as well, right? But instead, I lost $100,000 on my mobile home park. So the key to the story is just stay focused. Just stay focused. You can become financially free doing anything. I can become financially free if I had a YouTube business, a coaching business, right? I can become financially free if I did real estate. And when real estate, just stay in your asset class. Just stay in your asset class. Like, at one point after I bought my mobile park, I was sending direct mail to buy self-storage. And I actually made some offers on self-storage. And thank God that I quickly realized, you know what, why am I doing mobile home park, self-storage, apartments? It sounds cool to say to like some guy I met on a real estate networking event, but like, realistically, it sounds terrible. Like, I hear it all the time now, like, oh my God, I'm an investor. I own one Airbnb in California. I own one Airbnb in Texas. I own one Airbnb in Florida. I own a midterm rental here of partners. I own this business here. And it sounds cool, but I'm like, that sounds, like, I look back, that sounds terrible. And I know you're not making that money from that portfolio. I know you're not. Like, for me, what carries my team right now is my apartment complex in Oklahoma City. If I bought the other apartment complex for $33K per door and I had the opportunity to buy off market, and I had the money, like, I was looking at the mobile home park and that deal, and I passed on that deal. I remember I was literally in Tampa, Florida. The broker called me to sell me that deal off market, and I could have had that deal under contract immediately with the financials. But I decided that I was better than that and wanted to deviate to other asset classes. So, I wish I had a mentor to slap me in the face and say, Steven, economies of scale. Simple scales, fancy fails. Don't deviate from the plan and you will make a lot of money. So, we all live and we all learn, right? So that's the key message to that mistake. So don't make that mistake. I know it's boring as hell. I know it's boring. It's really boring to do that, but just stay the path. Just stay the path, and apologize for the cursing. It slipped a little bit. It's getting hot in here. Anyways, let me know if you have any questions. Gonna do another part to answer the rest of the questions here. But if you want to buy your first multifamily deal, some guidance, some coaching, click on my link tree down below. You'll see a link to my courses, my coaching. And from there, you can send me an email if you want a discount code, and also have a free newsletter as well. Otherwise, please stay tuned for the next part and hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.